It says it's creating. It says it's creating. It says it's broadcasting to the universe. Let's see if it shows up over here in the control panel. Do. I see us. We are live. Welcome to Tech Talk. Here, give us a little Tech Talk song. Give us a little
Tech Talk. It's Tech Talk. It's Tech Talk. We talk about tech.
And we'll actually talk about tech this time.
You sure?
Yeah, it's a rare thing.
Are we gonna go hashtag go woke go broke? I see on
go
Twitter.
Woke go broke. Oh, dude, I'm taking that hashtag.
It trends every once in a while.
Yeah,
right now, it's about
Pizza
Hut or something.
I like that though. Go woke, go broke, because that's literally the story of my life lately. As you can clearly see reading my Twitter. Yeah, don't ever get on my Twitter if you don't want to be stressed out. Let's see what's going on. Oh, we already got people showing up over in chat. We got Balliot Brand hanging out. We got Chris B. We got Evil Eye Gaming.
Oh, what?
Hanging out. Yeah, Technology. Yeah, look at all these people coming here. Bass is in here. We got Evil Eye Gaming. So wait. They're talking amongst each other. Look at this. They're making friends. Here, let me go tweet out the stream. I totally forgot to do that. Here, share. Let me get the link. And then I'm going to go and paste this to everybody, since YouTube, it's a 50-50 crapshoot if they send anybody a notification. Come hang out live on TikTok right now with AuxxZillary.
That's me.
That's you. AuxxZillary and I. Barnacules. There we go. Okay, link, and I'll just, Tech Talk, hashtag podcast. Good enough. All right, there we go. Copy that. I'm going to go ahead and paste Rooney that right over there on the old Twitskis. And then we're going to head on over to old Facebook, do the rounds, and see if Facebook lets me back in. I get banned for 24 hours every once in a while. Just keeping up appearances. Let's see. We'll get rid of that. All right, you guys take the opportunity to go share out the stream and stuff.
Yeah, tell your friends.
Power. Yeah. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, come hang out live. Okay, that's right. Post. All right, so now it's going to the Facebook page. We're doing the rounds. Hey, Eric James, man, thank you for that $2 super chat. He said, "Woohoo!"
Where's David? Canada.
He might pop in. He said he's busy today, but he said he might pop in. So he has all the information to join into the session. So if we see him,
you guys creeped him out, and he doesn't want to do this anymore.
I don't think you can creep David out. You guys don't know David like we know David. He's a mystery wrapped in an enigma, that one. If anything, I think he'd scare us off before we scared him off. No, it's funny. I love that even when he can't join, every week he replies to the thread and messages like, "Dude, I wish I could come hang out with you guys. Oh my god, I'd way rather be doing that than having to do this thing that I got to do." So that's pretty cool. I don't know. I'll never get over that. Like, the dude on Stargate hangs out with us. Yeah, man. It makes me feel special. It does.
It is really cool. It was there's a big neighborhood. This is like the one weekend a year that the HOA is cool with people having garage sales. So there's a few houses out, selling stuff. And I was looking around this morning. And I found a Stargate SG1 RPG book. It's I guess it is the book. I don't know if they have multiples like D&D does.
Like officially licensed or
yeah. Oh yeah.
Really? I didn't know they had clearly. D&D.
No, I mean, it's their own system. It was their own. It wasn't like licensed through Wizards or anything. It's
okay.
Their own. I don't know. I didn't see the publisher.
What did they want for it?
I didn't even ask, but probably not much. I should have though, because now that I was like, oh man, I could have sent it to David for a couple bucks, media mails, cheap, have him sign it. And be like, ha.
Oh, that would have been actually pretty cool. There's not a lot of RPG books out there floating around with old Dr. Rodney McKay's signature on
and
there.
And it looked really fresh. It looked like the outside, clearly it was, it's aged, but like I cracked it open, I was looking through the books, and like you could tell that this thing hadn't been used. Like it was like brand new, basically.
Did you see
uses 5e rules? Oh, cool.
Have you seen any retro gaming stuff or anything anymore at garage sales?
I almost got a PS3. Does that count as retro?
That's still, yeah. I think that still fits retro for today.
They wanted $40. I would have been like, I'll give you 20 right now. Like,
well, depends which PS3 was it. Was it like the old school first gen one that had
thick, the Fat Boy? It was some limited edition with some sort of racing game, not Forza. It wasn't like one of the big name racing games. It was some kind of like Extreme Racing 5 or some weird thing like that. But it was like a bundle thing. It said,
the original PS3, like the OG one that they shipped, like the very first one, had an actual PS2 chip in it. So you could play PS2 games.
Oh,
and then the
later one,
they moved to emulation that didn't work as well, and it only supported a couple of games. So if you have the old PS3, because I have one, the old PS3, that thing's like super sought after, even though they usually need like the laser diode like replaced.
Oh, sure.
But no, because they have the PS2 chip inside of them, it's basically a PS3 and a PS2 all together.
That's cool.
And so it makes them highly desirable. Plus, I like the form factor better because they're like all piano black and shiny.
Yeah. And like it's got like a few silvery kind of accents on it.
It's probably my favorite looking console. Out of all the consoles, just because it when you put it in like an entertainment system, it looks like a really high end like Blu-ray player or something.
Oh, neat.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it does. I like it.
Yeah, I still got one up in my attic. Every time I go in the attic, I remember I walk in through the door and it's just like sitting there with all of its accessories sitting on a little plate, and I'm like, you know what? I probably should sell that because I don't do a lot of console gaming anymore. Like PC,
same.
Does everything I want now. Like other than the rare exclusive, like, and I'm talking rare, like Uncharted or something like that, right? Other than the rare exclusive coming out, I play on PC, and now Microsoft Game Pass, like almost everything that's on Xbox is on PC too.
Right.
Like the Gears of War games, all the Forza franchise, and it looks better. It actually looks better and plays better on the PC if you have a high-end GPU. So I don't really feel compelled to like play console, and I can use the controller. That's the thing, is it's just like playing on the console, right? I just say, look at this guy. Look at this guy popping in here.
What?
Hey! You don't see it yet? Look at that.
Who's the bald guy? Who the hell is he?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Hey, at least nobody recognizes you now when you go out.
Right? Is that Bruce Willis?
What? That's right. Yeah, that poor man. That poor man. He's losing it.
Is that Lex Luthor?
Hey, actually, I think you could do pretty well as a Lex Luthor there.
I got a Lex Luthor look going. Yeah. It's definitely
better than the Facebook kid. What was that? Not Michael Cera, but the other one, Jesse Eisenman, right? He played Zuckerberg, and I think Lex Luthor too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was he Lex Luthor in that TV series version? What was it called, Pleasantville or not Pleasantville?
No, that's somebody else. He did it in Superman Returns.
Oh, is that? Oh God, they all blend together, man. I can't keep track of them all.
Oh, that's right. He was in Superman Returns.
Where is it? Wow, he's not even in he's not. That's sad. Oh no, that's Kevin Spacey in Superman Returns. It was the.
Oh, was it?
Kevin Spacey played good evil characters because it turns out he was in real life.
Versus Superman.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's really good at playing creepy and
it's like why was he so good in American Beauty? Oh, he is that guy.
Jesse Eisenberg was Batman versus Superman.
Oh, that was poor man. I feel sorry for anybody stuck in that film, to be honest. But,
where they cropped out his mustache.
Yeah. Oh God, cut of that one.
Yeah, right.
Like it was so bad. I remember watching. I almost turned it off twice because it's so slow.
What was it? Kathy. What?
Or Martha.
Martha.
Just
I don't say that name. Where are the detonators?
I mean, as always, it looked cool.
Everybody thought Ben Affleck was like a good Batman, though. I never did.
I don't like him. I thought he was terrible.
I thought he did all right as Batman. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen like a sequel or another spin-off of it where they followed more of what they called the nightmare, which was clearly a call out to the Injustice storyline where Superman like flips his lid and takes over the world.
Yeah.
Awesome. That would have been a great trilogy if they had followed the Injustice thing after Justice League, because then you had introduced all of the characters, because like Wonder Woman like supports Superman in Injustice, and it's like, even though like Batman and Wonder Woman have like a romantic thing at one point, she backs Superman in his like grief and all of this and whatnot, and she's like, oh, he's finally becoming like the warrior that she always knew he could be and stuff. It's a really cool storyline. Highly recommend people look into the Injustice comics.
I think I saw some. I think I read like a couple of them, but I don't think I actually read the whole thing. Superman was never my thing. He was just too normal for me.
Yeah.
The problem with him is he kind of reminds me of like Dr. Manhattan, right? He's just infinitely powerful.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, there's one little thing you can do. If you can find some kryptonite and get it close enough to him and he doesn't just walk away from you for like 20 minutes, then you have a good shot at like, weakening him and maybe killing him if you kept doing it forever and nobody ever stopped you. But the thing is, anytime he's near kryptonite, he can detect it. And the second that he detects it, he still has enough strength and power to run away from it far enough that he gets his powers back and he just fly away from it and go hide out on the moon.
But I remember that fear that I had whenever that would show up in an old Superman show. I'd always get that, oh no, he's got to get into a lead box or whatever the hell it was. There's nothing. I said to my son the other day, there's nothing worse than when a show takes away a character's superpowers. Yeah. I don't like those episodes. I never like them. I find them frustrating because I'm like, no, but then it's just about getting them back again. And we've already seen them have them. So I always feel like it's I don't know. It always feels a bit like a stalling tactic, like you're treading water with those kind of things.
Sure.
Hey, every series has those episodes, right? Budgets down through the floor. They're like, you know what? If they lost their powers, we could save so much on the special effects budget.
Although, have you started Stranger Things?
I have not. I haven't. I've watched season 1, season 2. I haven't seen season 3, so I got to watch that first, and then I'll watch season 4.
I'll find like a 30-minute recap or something.
I almost bailed. Almost bailed on the
really
like it's bad or because it was like just emotional.
It's just not aimed for me. It's just not. It's just not my. Like I struggled with the first one because I was like, that was what I grew up. I grew up with these shows.
Oh sure.
Right. So I was like, this is just a ripoff of. But again, once I sort of got it, was my son sort of went, no, it's homage, not fromage.
Wait,
well, it's pretty cheesy. It's pretty cheesy. Yeah, so there's definitely fromage.
No, I enjoy it. I enjoy it, and I see the appeal. Like I see the appeal of like kids all banding together, and none of the adults will listen to them. And I remember loving that stuff as a kid.
I didn't know it was a reboot. So there was another Stranger Things.
No. They took a lot of inspiration from a lot of other shows and things like that.
They've got E.T., Close Encounters, Jaws. They got Nightmare on Elm Street. They got like everything is just there's like shot for Easter shot eggs, some stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess it's a tribute again, but
totally on purpose. 100%.
I get it, but sometimes you go like this tribute, and then there's just a direct ripoff. But
What about the Orville? Did you see the new Orville?
I saw that they restarted that. Yeah,
but I haven't watched the new one. I started watching from the very beginning.
Yeah, the new one, they're like billing is it's like a movie, like an ongoing movie versus like a series where each episode's like completely different. And I already watched the first one. I loved it.
How many seasons have they done so far?
They've done 2 full seasons and they're working on the 3rd right now.
Okay, so I can catch up. I've started on the first one and I'm trying to because
there's kind of a gap, right? Like the first 2 seasons. Yep. Like
big gap.
Not that they don't count, but this 3rd season is like set a few years later or something, right? Like there's a clear like separation, isn't there? I read something that like it's like I don't know, something in the future from where it's not just a continuation, it's almost a reboot.
It's funny because I remember there was a lot of vitriol about it when it first started. And everyone says, "Oh, the first season's terrible." I was like, well, I mean, I don't know. I watched the first couple episodes, and I was like, it doesn't bother me. I see I could see what people would hate about it, but I also, I don't know. I just kind of like it. It's
the first 2 episodes. The chemistry was off.
Yeah, like
the actors didn't feel like they were meshing at all. Like the emotions
they're supposed to lose a job.
Probably,
The problem with the first few episodes of any show is the network is like breathing down their neck, and they're going like, "Well, why is he saying it like that, or should he say it like that?" And the whole time you're sitting there going like, "Oh God, I'm going to get fired." That's all you're thinking the entire time.
Yeah, now it runs smooth. It's like, although it's one of those series where it's like you can't take it too seriously, like Star Trek, where you're like, you can't sit there and like nitpick. And they make fun of a lot of the sci-fi, genre in the Orville. Like in the Orville, it's like a lot of it's like poking fun at themselves for like, why is the ship laid out this way? Like, oh my God, why do I got to run so far to get to the warp core? And it's always it's a lot of silly shit, and I absolutely love that about it. But it's like this last one. I mean, no spoilers towards the storyline, but it's like they're flying a ship around, like shooting at drones, testing it. And it's like, one dude in the cockpit, like, like the X-Wing Death Star trench. And he's just like flying around the ship in the shipyard and like almost smashing into shit and like shooting his guns like into the populated areas of the space station, like trying to hit the little targeting drones and everything. And they're like, well, don't scratch the paint off the ship. Oh, don't worry, I won't, Captain. And you're just like, okay, that makes no sense. It's like you could go out away from the ship and go out there and do battle drills. You wouldn't just do that. Like you wouldn't pull in like a nuclear battleship or whatever and be like, all right, let's do firing drills and launch a bunch of, DJI Phantoms and start shooting at them while you're in dry dock.
They don't really. I feel like it's more about the joke than it is about the legits, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
honestly, the best science fiction I've seen, I think some of the best science fiction I've ever seen is actually Rick and Morty. I think that
Rick and Morty.
It's good stuff. I love that show. It is a good show
because it truly makes you think. Like this stuff, like I mean, it's such a stupid, asinine, like childish humor. Like scatological and but like even just that episode about the toilet where he had a planet where the toilet was.
I love that episode.
Yeah. Oh my god!
Dude just keeps going back to take a dump and he can't help himself.
Yeah, I want to sit down and like watch it all from the beginning and then write like a Bible. You know what I mean? Because I feel like there's so many concepts going on there that the guy is.
Dude, I've watched every episode at least 6 times.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, you pick up new stuff every single time through. Oh yeah. No. They do such a good job at the writing that there's always shit going on in the background that you're not focusing on.
Was the
one
and
then
the
you watch the second time you see it.
It was the one where the ship broke down and then they fueled it with another whole universe. And
the microverse and the tiny verse.
Yeah,
the mini verse and the tiny verse.
Yeah, it was just. I remember just going like, okay, I'm gonna watch this one again because it's just. I mean, it's just fantastic. It's
like a really cool theory though, because it like makes you think. Yeah. It's like, what if we are the car battery? Our entire universe is just like the electrolytes and the car battery of a bigger god in another universe. And then
it's not as sexy as the Matrix.
Yeah, it reminded me of the scene from Men in Black?
Men in Black, yeah.
Where Kay goes over and opens up the locker, and it's like a whole nother universe inside of the locker.
In the little marble too. There's a little
in the galaxy in the marble.
I mean, I love that stuff. It's funny because some of this one of the topics I want to do for Tech Bandits next week is about muscles, like how muscles work, because all the kids are getting into. They all want to get gym memberships and bulk up, and we're gonna get ripped. And I'm like, okay, well, I've never done this because, as you can probably tell, it's not a big thing for me. But I'm fascinated to know like how that actually works, because you see all this stuff about get bulked over. You just have to drink this protein powder. And so I thought, well, let me just go back and look at it from a completely molecular biology standpoint. Like, let's go back and see exactly how muscles work and sort of trace it up from there to see where you get to. But basically, it just comes down to break them and then fix them. Honestly, that's like you make muscles bigger by tearing them, and then they bulk up because they're basically just badly band-aided. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I used to actually do bodybuilding back in the day. That was kind of my thing when I was in my 20s. Yeah.
And what did you do? Was it protein powder?
300 pounds almost. I could do 285 reps, and I was pretty big.
And were you taking supplements? Like, were you doing like protein and carbing up and all that?
Well,
crap?
we'd literally go like every day for lunch and eat it like an all-you-can-eat buffet and just stuff our faces with like chicken. So we didn't need the protein shakes or anything like that. But I did take a supplemental vitamin. Yeah. And I drank a ton of water because it's a high sodium diet. Right. And so you don't really need like all the extra stuff to build the muscle, as long as you have enough.
They said you don't need to take protein powder. They said the protein powder only adds a tiny port, like a couple of percent.
Super hard on your kidneys too. A lot of people don't say that. You'll develop kidney stones.
Oh, dang.
If you take a lot of protein powder and you don't drink enough water, you'll start developing stones in your kidneys. And it might take them 10 years to pass, but they need to get out of there eventually, and it's going to suck.
And that's why I didn't do it. That's why I'm unfit. That's why
the thing that was most beneficial for me though, back when I was lifting weight, like, because it took about 3 months to gain 100 pounds on a lift. And for me, and we were going, we'd go 3 times a week and do arms, and then we'd go 3 times a week and do legs, and then we had 1 day of rest.
Right.
And so we just alternate between them. So we just did leg presses and leg exercises one day, and then we just did upper body the next day. We just alternate back and forth.
Who's we? Who are you doing this with?
Oh, my friend Aaron. So really good friend of mine. We did it together back when we were working at Microsoft, because Microsoft gave us a free Pro Club membership, which is like the most expensive gym in all of Washington. It's where the Seattle Seahawks train. So you can actually, you go there, you see them all the time. You're just sitting there working out. It's like Seattle Seahawks. There's another one. They're all walking around doing their thing. But it's like $700 a month for like a membership, and you have to pay like a parking fee. It's really expensive. But Microsoft just gives all their employees a free, or at least used to. I don't know if they still do. Now it's probably like 24-hour fitness because of cutbacks.
I think Baz is looking at like Good Life or something. I mean, but it sounds so culty. It's just, it worries. Like,
most gyms are, dude. Yeah. Even 24-hour fitness and stuff. It's like, that's probably the least culty you're gonna get. But yeah, if you're getting into weightlifting and you're there a lot, you're gonna get to know the people there, and they're gonna give you advice, and you're gonna watch them. They're gonna watch you.
It's so funny because
it's impossible to avoid.
I have to do it by
myself.
It's
really hard to stay to yourself in a gym for a long period. Like you can get away with it if you come in every once in a while. Just if you have earbuds in, usually
that's the ticket.
Will leave you
really?
alone. So,
yeah,
but
man.
If you don't have earbuds in, they'll come over and just like cock you.
Yeah, that's what I've always just you can make eye contact and smile and whatever that kind of deal. But most folk are just there to just work out. Like, don't.
I realize I've never been there when I could have worn earbuds. Like it's been so long that they wouldn't have even existed when I, not to the same extent.
The other thing is you got to figure out what you want to do too, because they're completely different techniques for if you want more dexterity strength, or you want like you want longevity of strength, or do you want to just be able to lift a hell of a lot a few times?
Well, that's a good question you ask the kids. I don't know. So, I mean, the sense I get is that they think it's going to make them better at video games too, which will be interesting.
Huh.
I don't think it ever made me any better in video games.
You got to keep your hands good, man. That's for sure. Grip strength and forearm stuff and whatnot. Like you can't. Your hands frozen like this is bad news.
I sound like a bag of bones when I.
Oh yeah, dude. We were starting to get into the company's we're doing a softball thing, right? And we had one practice, and like, dude, my shoulder's killing me. That was on Thursday.
Shoulders.
Yep.
I'm getting MRIs in a couple of weeks on my shoulders because they're not fixing. They're not.
Yeah, if you don't do something constantly, like if you're not constantly using a muscle group and it becomes fatigued, then the joints take all the damage.
Yeah.
So like softball, if you play every single day, pitchers every single day, sometimes they'll get a little tight in their elbow or whatever. But you go out and try to do that, never doing it before, and it's by the end of the day you can't even lift your arm.
Oh, dude, I remember throwing the ball with a kid, and all of a sudden I'm like, I gotta stop because my arm is hanging painfully from my side like a piece of meat.
What I did when I was weightlifting though is I went for max bench. That's my goal. My whole goal the whole time was just to push as much weight as I could, and the training for that is also super lazy, which I like. like the training for max lift is you literally just go up and wait. So you do like 5 reps, little bit, then you do 4 reps, a little bit more, and then you do 3 bips, a little bit more, and then you do your power lift, which is basically you have to have somebody spotting you because chances are you're not going to pull it off, and you basically put on like another 50 or 60 pounds, and you just do one. You only got to do one, but it's like literally get a friend or something to scream at you and smack you around until you do it, and then once you cap out or you get as close as you can, you're about ready to start dropping the bar, then they'll pull it in and pull it back, and if you do that, then your body will start gaining muscle really fast. Like that's the trick.
Where they just kind of a little bit help you
just a little bit, and literally like yelling at you and stuff. So like if you start like hovering too long, they get your adrenaline going so you can push it, and then your arms feel like you literally can't even lift your arms afterwards. Like if you do it right, your arms are just completely dead noodles for like the next 6 hours. And I mean it's even hard. It was even hard to drive home after that, like just on the hands on the steering wheel because I'm like using the strength of my hands to hold it. And after you do that probably a dozen times, in a dozen different sessions, then you start getting used to it to the point where when you do your power push, your muscles won't like just go limp on you. Like you still can only do the one push because you're putting enough weight on there that you can only achieve one push. But you don't get that crazy feeling because it's like your joints are adjusting to it, your tendons are adjusting to it because your tendons take a beating on that stuff too. Like a lot of people, it's like if your muscles are weak, it's like you're putting so much more pressure on your tendons and stuff like that.
The tendons are the muscles that attach to the bones, right?
Yeah, and the tendons are like the
you don't want to tear them.
Cords. It's like the really dense tissue. It's like cordage basically, and your arm, and you definitely don't want to damage that because that is a long time to heal. And the other thing is don't push yourself too hard too fast because if you injure your back, which happens a lot in weightlifting, you might be out for 3 weeks, and in that 3 weeks you can undo 3 months of progress. Like it goes away so much faster than it goes on. Like that's how I got out of it. I actually hurt my back. I tore a muscle in my on my upper back, and I couldn't do anything for 3 weeks except for leg exercises. And when I went back to the press, I was down to 200 pounds again. Like after just 3 weeks, and I was almost at 300.
I like the more like functional, just lift heavy things, just whatever. Yep. Pick up something heavy, bring it over there, right? Put it down, then pick it back up and go bring it back and do that a million times.
I only did low weights, high rep. I always wanted to look heroin chic. I never wanted to bulk up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the thing that a lot of people don't do is calisthenics. Like calisthenics is the way to go.
It is so hard to bulk up. Like just doing curls and bench press and stuff like that.
I can bulk up pretty quickly any other way.
you're not going to end up looking like Schwarzenegger just doing like regular stuff. Like my brother,
your life is dedicated to that.
My brother routinely bucks like rounds of wood that are 80, 100 pounds all day long. And he's not swole or anything. He looks more like Bruce Lee than Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he's lifting heavy shit all the time and over and over and over again.
I remember visiting Momoa in Bulgaria. We were both working. He was working on sort of a massive Conan movie, and I was working on some piece of shit for sci-fi. But I watched him do his training stuff, and it was just like there was a guy would run in with like chicken or veggies every like 2 hours, and he'd be like, "Oh, geez, I gotta eat this again." It'd be like, "All right, you eat this shit."
Yeah, watch the videos on YouTube. The Rock diet. Have you seen that?
Oh, right, yeah, man.
Yeah, Dwayne Johnson's diet.
You are just miserable the whole time.
He said he hates it. He hates it, but he likes the results, so he does it. All he eats is like tilapia and fish oil, like 100 times a day, and then one day a week he cheats.
When I was working out more on regular, I was shocked at how much I was eating. I was shocked. Like when we first started out, my trainer lady was like, "Okay, look, walk me through what you normally eat in a day." I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, blah 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 blah." She goes, "Nope, not enough." I go, "What?" She says, "First off, we're gonna change some of the stuff you're eating, but like, no, you need more. You're probably doing like 1,800 calories. I want you to like 2,600 calories." Like, and then this is how we're gonna break that out throughout this five meals a day kind of a thing. And I was like, damn, that's a lot. You're talking about like a lot, 4 ounces of protein at each of these 5 times a day, this and that. She goes, no, you'll see. And like 2-3 weeks into it, I'm like, I am hungry all the time. All the time. She's like, I told you, see? And I wasn't doing anything really, really tough. Like it wasn't anything crazy, just, bars and bells kind of stuff. And man, holy cow.
The other issue you get into is the movie fit is different. The movie fit is like it's entirely unhelthy. It's got nothing to do with actually being healthy.
Right. Or just
the steroids.
Weird,
oh my God.
So I looked at steroids. Everyone.
Well, that was it. So I started looking at this molecular biology approach to muscles. And then I started working because I wanted to find out because my son was saying like, oh, I got to do lots of carbs. And I was like, really? I don't think it's carbs. I think it's protein.
No, you do get to a point where carbs are required. Like you have to take a lot of sugar.
You basically got to feed the beast. But what was amazing was when I got to then of course I went to anabolic steroids because of course I'm like, well, if it can be fixed with chemicals. And of course, the side effects are just disaster, are just miserable.
Yeah, right.
But the results are ridiculous.
Yeah,
like they were talking about, like they were increasing their weights on a weekly basis. Like it wasn't even just gradually going up. They were like 10 pounds a week going up.
Wow. Most people I know that are serious, like serious about competing and like bodybuilding and stuff, they're all doing steroids. They're all doing TRT therapy, which means they're pushing their testosterone higher than their bodies can naturally produce.
Weird.
And
but then you become reliant on that, don't you?
You do. And you also start, because your body will stop producing it. Your nuts shrivel up and then you don't make any more. So, and then on top of that, they're taking creatine and number of other supplements, right? Everybody has their little cocktail that they do. And
have you seen the film Icarus?
I haven't.
It's a documentary about the
doping. That's the doping documentary. No, I have seen that. Yeah, that was fascinating. The shit that they go through, like doing the blood transfusions and stuff. That was crazy. No, but it's one of those things where if you want the expectation, like when you look at people like Arnold Schwarzenegger and you look at people like who would be another like the world's heavyweight guy like Thor or Thor Bjornsson or Eddie Hall or those guys
or any of those Avengers guys,
exactly. They're all on anabolic steroids, they're all using creatine, and they're all TRT.
Why the hell aren't I then?
What happened to me? Well, here's the problem is you pay a steep price for it. Those guys usually don't live that long because you're overdriving your kidneys, you're overdriving your heart. Right, because to have your metabolism high enough to get 10,000 calories through your system and delivered to all your muscles every day, that takes a hell of a lick on your liver and your kidneys. And so that's the trade-off, right? And then the other thing that you that you have problems with when you get that big, when you start putting on that muscle, is that you have to eat like 8 to 10,000 calories a day, or you just start losing it fast. And the more muscle,
losing
you have,
weight or losing,
you and muscle, you lose the muscle because your body, you don't have a high enough fat percentage for your body to tap your fat stores. So instead, it just takes the muscle. And you shrivel up fast. Like I said, and I wasn't taking any substances or anything like that. But when I got up, because I was only benching 280s, like substances, you see those guys punching like 450, 500 pounds. I lost it all, like almost everything in like 3 weeks. Like I went back and I felt like I was starting over. I was like super discouraged because I'm like, man, I spent all this time building up to this, and then I injure my back and I come back and it's like I'm back to, where I was 3 months ago. And so that was super annoying. But steroids and stuff like that, you have to be careful because you can overdrive your heart. You're putting yourself at more risk for a heart attack. But at the same time,
and
it's
personality change.
Very much personality.
You become incredibly aggressive, right? I mean,
and that's the issues. The roid rage is real. That's not just a joke. And people usually learn to deal with it through therapy. Because you can get the roid rage and then you basically just tell yourself to just ignore everything. Like you just get used to it. So but the problem is then you get in a situation where it's like you do need to be angry and you basically just write it off. So like you could be in your home life and somebody could do something that's like really bad that you should be pissed off about. And then you're like, you just walk away like whatever, because you just tell yourself that if you get to that level, you won't be able to pull yourself back. Like you feel like you will literally go Incredible Hulk. And I had a friend that used steroids, injected steroids. And I noticed he got way, way more aggressive, but it was only really bad when he was really amped up. As long as he was just like going about things and we were just having a good time, go fishing or something like that, no big deal. Like it, almost not noticeable, but any little thing mountains out of molehills. Like literally, like if you found a parking ticket on his car, he'd like punch a dent in the side of it. It's like you get pissed over.
And he could because he's so built.
Yeah. Don't hit me. No, substances absolutely mess with your psyche.
Well, we're all chemicals. I mean, we're just bags of chemicals, right?
Yeah, I remember when I used to take a Ephedrine. Do you guys remember that drug? Ephedrine?
Ephedrine. What was that for? Was it anti?
It was a fat burning drug back in the day.
Yeah, like fen, right? Right?
Yep. So that stuff, I started taking that when I was at Microsoft because we had a competition going on to see who could lose the most weight in 30 days. And I started taking that stuff, and what it does is it makes your appetite completely go away, and you just stop eating.
Speed.
Like
it's basically
it's literally speed. Ephedrine is 100% legal speed. Yeah, as a matter of fact, the Ephedrine was more harsh than the Adderall I take today, like by a lot.
What's I think at the movie Spun, right? The movie Spun, the main character's mom gets hooked on it. The same kind of stuff. It was
Well, they were diet drugs. They were just diet drugs.
Yeah. My boss literally told me not to come back to work until I figure things out. Like he didn't know I was taking it, but he's like, dude, you're on something. Don't come back until you figure it out. And of course I was pissed off about that because I was raging about everything. And then my friends who I thought were in my corner that I go to complain to, they're like, yeah, dude, we don't even want to hang out with you anymore until you stop taking that shit. This is after me taking it for like 30 days.
When you stop taking, they're like, stop taking it.
Yeah. And when I stopped taking it, I was like dead tired for like a week. I was fatigued. I felt like absolute crap. But the things that I accomplished while I was on it were like weird. Like so I have a friend named Cam who's a mountain biker. He just mountain bikes everywhere. Doesn't matter. He'll ride 60 miles in a day to go like all the way to Seattle on his mountain bike and then ride it all the way back home. He's just rides. So he invites me on a mountain bike ride up this mountain over in Bremerton. I think it was called Gold Mountain in Bremerton, Washington. He's like, oh yeah, it's an intermediate bike ride. He's like, don't worry, we can take breaks and everything. Cause I wasn't that good at it. I mean, I was in way better shape back then. I mountain biked all the time. And, but he was like, no, we can take breaks and stuff. It's too advanced. Well, I took that Ephedrine. I was on that Ephedrine stuff for weeks, and you do not tire out. You do not hit a wall
everywhere.
You will never hit a wall. You will literally just run until your heart explodes and you die. And so I get on the bike, and it was a 12-mile, 100% uphill, no flat spots, all the way uphill switchbacks, 12 miles. And when we got to the top, neither one of us stopped. But when we got to the top, he almost died. Like my friend was like, that is the hardest thing I've ever done trying to keep up with you. And he's like, what the hell are you on? And I was like, well, I take Ephedrine or whatever. And he's like, holy crap. But then the problem was riding down, my muscles collapsed halfway down, and I just started going over the handlebars over and over and over and got all scratched up.
No.
Because when it wears off, you just go limp noodle. Like you're completely weak. It's like all your muscles just go away. But I did that, and then I thought, oh, maybe that was a fluke. No, I went on when I was at Microsoft, And during that month I was on it, we went and did a morale event up at Snoqualmie, the ski resort, where there was no snow. It was in the summer, and they turned it into mountain bike tracks. Basically, you put your mountain bike on the lift, and it takes you up to the top of the mountain. You ride down
too. Yeah.
So we did that a couple times. Well, one time we went down over the back of the mountain, and there was no lift to bring us back. We didn't realize. We thought there was a lift down there, so we had to ride 4 miles uphill alongside the freeway to get back up to the resort. And when we did that, I was literally looking back, and they were like hundreds of yards behind me, and they could not keep up. Nobody on the team, even the fittest people on the team, could not keep up. And I was like slowing down, letting them catch up, and then I just blast away from them. We got to the parking lot. They were all like breathing heavy, drinking water and everything. I'm like, let's go, man. Let's go. Let's get another run in. And it's just, I was like, yeah, this is not good for my heart. Whatever is happening right now, this is not natural. This is not something that I should be doing. I'm glad I got off it though, because shortly after I got off it, that's when the baseball player died from heat stroke, taking ephedrine, and like 2 other people died from ephedrine, like all in the same like couple of weeks. And then they pulled it off the market and banned it because people were just dropping dead left and right from heart attacks. Oh, it's crazy. Oh,
that was like the 1970s diet drug, right? I think that was like wasn't that like 60s, 70s? That was the that's the moms would take it so that they could get everything done around the house and lose some weight.
It was a little yellow pill.
It was like mom's little helper type thing.
Yeah, well, back in the 60s and 70s, you guys could just straight up take like Dexedrine. like you guys had better stuff than
taking everything. Yeah.
No, I remember
the reason that all this stuff is
inhaler.
Yeah.
Oh wait, is that what Fen-Phen was? Oh no, Fen-Phen. Okay, so Fen-Phen was. I don't think that was
Phentermine.
That is
Fen-Phen refers to a drug called phentermine. Fentermine. Fenfluramine, phentermine.
Yeah, it's a
anti-obesity treatment utilized 2 anorectics. Interesting.
So dexfenfluramine.
Human overclocking, says Bob Face.
Amphetamines will get you thin. They will, but in a similar sort of thing. Anything with those enes at the end, phenylalanine, dopamine, or caffeine. A lot of those enes, right? Have those stimulating effects.
Yeah, I take ADHD meds in the form of Adderall.
That is,
and one of the things that Adderall does, all amphetamines have this effect. So did the Sudafed, or not Sudafed. Well, Sudafed also is a stimulant. Be careful with that shit.
Ephedrine.
Anything with the ene, man. Anything with the ene. But
just about. I don't know how blanket that might be. I'm sure there's some chemist in here is going to be like, actually,
what does the ene mean? It must have like that.
I don't know, but it shows up in all kinds of different chemicals that are stimulants. Even simple stuff like phenylalanine, right? That's in Pepsi and stuff. It's
basically all amphetamines do is they overdrive your respiratory system, and so by doing that you pump more oxygenated blood into your brain, and it also causes a release of was it norepinephrine or adrenaline. So it makes you alert, it makes you quicker, a little bit quicker in your mind because you're just more oxygenated, but it also raises your body temperature by about 1 degree depending on the dose. So you have to be careful, especially during COVID, because if you go anywhere and they scan you, you're not gonna be 98.6, you're gonna be 99.8.
Are they still doing that? Are they still taking people's temperatures?
I haven't seen anybody doing it, but I don't get out a lot. I really don't leave the house that much anymore.
They just ask you a bunch of stupid questions now. Like that's,
yeah, like, hey, do you have COVID? No, I sure don't. Basically. Well, go on in, sir. We don't know, man.
Basically, do you have a fever? All that kind of stuff.
Probably not.
Well, I just went to the doctor the other day because I had to go in and get medicine so we can get blood drawn. And when I was in there, they still have like full mask wearing.
Oh yeah, no, same thing here. Yeah,
and I asked them, I was like, are you guys seeing like a lot of COVID cases or whatever? And they're like, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we're seeing a lot again. And I was like, damn, because I live in like a fairly small town. So like when you go to the local doctor's office and they're like, oh yeah, we're seeing a lot of COVID positive people in here that we're, referring to the hospital or
are people vaccinated? Quarantine. Are they vaccinated over there? Or is it generally anti-vax, or what's the?
No, here most people are open to vaccines here. I mean, we are a blue state after all. So here in Washington. So people do like the sciences, but I mean, there's still always going to be people, right? I even know people that won't get the vaccine. So, and
oh yeah, no, me too. Yeah, no, we got a friend who just won't.
And the scary thing is like, they're proud of it. A lot of them are proud of it. Like, oh, I didn't get the vaccine. Like I fought the system. And it's like, dude, it's not just for you. like it's for everybody.
It's not, I mean, look, yeah, I feel to me like just take advantage of the medicine that's available to you. But at the same time, I guess now it almost Does it matter now? Now it's just your own risk, is it? I mean, does it make it more? Does it actually people not getting vaccinated doesn't make it more of a risk for people?
No, it is now flipping to where it's going to keep you out of the hospital, but the infection that you spread to somebody else, still, if they're not vaccinated, they're gonna they have a higher probability of ending up in the hospital.
So so basically at this point they're taking it on themselves if they're not vaccinated.
Yeah. So unfortunately, like most of the people that are dying now are unvaccinated. Mm-hmm. So a vast majority, not like a statistical abnormality.
I like the people freaking out about the stats that are they're like, look, there are just as many people who are vaccinated as there aren't vaccinated in the hospital. And you go like, okay, yeah, but 80% of the population up here, like it's like 80-something% of the population has been vaccinated. So of course there's going to be more people,
right?
Thanks
for statistics.
I know statistics. It drives me crazy. Oh my God. I was ranting on Twitter earlier today because I found out that 43% of Ontario voted in the last election. 43%.
Wow, that seems like a lot.
That actually seems high by United States standards. Yeah.
compared to the U.S. where it's like 25% of the population. Yeah, here let's find out. Let's find out
higher than that. We do
over here, right? We don't have a good track record of everybody that's registered to vote actually voting here
in 2020.
No, I'm talking about this is like a state election. So it's like because it's a provincial election.
We even get less for state elections. State elections even less.
So let's see here. The 2020 presidential election had the highest voter turnout of the 21st century, with 66.8% of citizens 18 years or older voting.
But that's
tremendous. But that's for the entire United States. That's tremendous.
Like we've got there's like all over the world. There's people like fighting, dying, dreaming of these kind of freedoms. Of being able to actually vote for their own. I
think the problem
is that we don't do it is.
Well, I don't think they believe in the system is the problem, right? They think that their vote doesn't count.
Yeah.
Because a lot of effort has been gone to make them think their vote doesn't count.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the problem that we have
and you know what? Maybe it doesn't, but at least I feel like even just the sense of going out and putting the X on the box, at least you're showing an appreciation for the democratic system. At least I don't know.
At least you can say I didn't vote for like the person that blew up the earth or something. It's like I don't know. There's definitely gratification there in one way, shape, or form, even if you don't end up changing the world.
It's funny. I had a chat with a friend the other day, and he was saying he wanted to get. He said he felt like he needs to get arrested or something. Like he needs to do something so it's on record that he was fighting a system that was destroying the planet, that was destroying equality, that was systemically racist and all that. I mean, just the fact that he was like, I don't want to be seen as just another person who didn't do anything. Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm sure getting arrested the way to go. I mean, but that's where his head's at. Like to me, I go like, that's a sign of a discontent that's that's a considerable discontent. If someone who's normally an incredibly law-abiding citizen is saying like, no, I want to break shit to make the point that we're not getting heard. I mean,
and plus you don't want to be arrested by the wrong cop down here. Like, you definitely don't. Like my friend Graham, my good friend Graham was in Seattle, and he had a press badge and everything, and he was there with a camera filming, and a police officer just shot him with a tear gas canister. Jesus. And he messaged me and he's like, yeah, I'm coming home, dude. He's like, because he told me that morning when the protests were going on, he's like, oh yeah, I'm heading out there or whatever because I want to get some video and stuff. And then he messaged me like 2 hours later and he's like, no, I'm leaving out of Seattle. I'm heading back to my car right now. And he showed me his jacket and it had like one of those like stains on it, like from like the tear gas. And he's like, yeah, they shot a tear gas container at me. So I'm yeah. And he even was saying I'm pressed. He had his hands up and he's like, I'm pressed. And they're like, pink. They didn't care. So yeah, you gotta be careful with stuff like that. It's like, don't have unnecessary encounters with the police because you're rolling the dice on whether you're going to get one that's in a good mood or a bad mood. And if you get the one that's in a bad mood, you're not going to have a good time. So
I like to think that the police up here are different and that I feel like there's not as much. Again, I'm also a straight white male. I guess it's a very different perspective than other people. But I get the feeling like we're a little bit more on top of it. But then I hear these horrible stories about like, indigenous people and stuff where I go like where they're just being. There's a woman who was, there's video. I think they just got off, but they literally like just punched her in the face. Like she was drunk, she was belligerent, but it was this one. Even once they had her under control, there was just this anger and this disrespect there that was just.
Down here we have something called qualified immunity that basically means that cops can break a lot of laws and they're not responsible for their actions as long as they're acting behind the badge. Basically, all they have to prove is that they're, by prove, they just have to basically say that it wasn't malicious intent, intent, or at the time it seemed like the right thing to do, and they didn't have time to like verify if it was legal.
Well, I guess then the same thing applies here because we just got two of these guys I'm not sure if they were guys, sorry, I don't know, but 2 officers were found not guilty of.
Well, the good news is we got cameras everywhere now.
It's like
in the
something or other of their.
But there was video. I think there were video of these guys. I should look it up. I don't know exactly what it was.
Yeah, they still can sometimes get off with video, but that's one thing I've really enjoyed lately is seeing all these videos, finding these corrupt cops. Like and usually more often than not, the department will fire them. They end up just going and working for a different department like down the street. But they usually do end up getting fired when the video evidence comes forward. And the people that took the video or got a hold of the video, the victims, they usually are pretty successful in suing for damages when it does happen. But it's still an arduous, lengthy process and an expensive one that, not everybody can undertake, right? And so it's a little bit of a scary situation. However, I've noticed that since everybody's got cameras, everybody's recording, you don't know who's recording you, when they're recording you. And it's just such a common practice that, you just ignore it, right? Walking down the street, you have 100 cameras pointing at you, don't even know they're there.
And who gives a shit? I don't care.
Well, no, in public, I really don't care because it's like nowadays it holds everybody accountable, not just me. And the thing is, it protects the police too, because if the police get attacked or something, by somebody and they're like, oh, I didn't do that, and they get their friend to lie for them or whatever, it's like there's evidence, right? There's evidence to show. So it protects both parties. And because of that video, so many things have been caught: planting evidence, roughing people up. Like I watched a video where a guy was in a car and he was I don't know, you guys probably saw this will make national news a while back, but it was like a guy was handicapped. He didn't have use of his legs, right? He was a paraplegic and he was in the car, and the officer comes up, he rolls the window down and he says, "Step out of the car." And he said, "I can't." He's like, "I'm a paraplegic, I don't have use of my legs." And he's like, "Well, you're driving this car just fine." And he's like, and he had his camera going, and the officer had his body cam, and he's like, "I'm a paraplegic, I cannot step out of the vehicle." And he's like, "Sir, step out of the vehicle now, or you'll be forcibly removed." And he literally opens the door on the car and like drags the dude out and throws him on the concrete. And his legs are just like limp noodles. And he's like, roll over. And the guy's like trying to roll over, all scratched up and everything. And he handcuffs him. And he's like, "You will listen to a direct order. That is a direct lawful order." It's like, dude, he pulled him over for like a moving violation.
Oh my God.
He didn't even charge him with a crime or tell him that he was being detained. And it escalated to that. And I was just like, wow. And the officer was like, and then later on the officer's statement or whatever from the department is like, "Oh, when somebody doesn't listen to a command or something like that, we feel that our lives are in danger."
Come on.
It's like, whatever, dude. That's not it. Yeah, you saw that one, Far? Yeah, that was a bad video. That was really bad. And there's been a couple of them like that too, where it's like people couldn't get out of the vehicle for some reason, and the police just think they're making it up. Yeah. Like the police are just like, "Oh, whatever, you're just trying to make something up to get out of the vehicle." And then they'll be like, "Well, here's your final chance." Sometimes they'll even shatter the window too. They'll pull out their little tool and break the window and drag you through. Man. It's like, just don't. They're not doing anything. It's like the car's shut off. They most of the time they take the keys off, throw them on the dashboard, or give them to the police officer out the window. It's like they're not going anywhere.
Robots.
It's like, call for proper support. Remove the person from the vehicle peacefully. You don't have to escalate to Rambo mode. It's like they're obviously
autonomous robo cops. That's what we need. We need the
No, they were just determined they were too much of a threat to ourselves and just lock us all in a cell and feed us like protein bars made out of Soylent Green.
My son keeps saying, like, why don't we have weapons that can stop people instantly that don't kill them?
That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I know, but that's the funny thing, and that's what I was saying to him. I said, like, what are you going to do? Like, hit him with a foam? How do you stop someone who's got some sort of a gun? How do you stop that? I mean,
expansion foam, but it just like hardens up real fast.
Yeah. Or there's that, or this, what is it? There's the tone, different tones.
Did you see that bolo taser thing?
Yeah.
That thing is so cool. Where you point, it looks like it just looks like a taser, and it has a laser line. It looks like a little laser line that you point at the person, and you get it around their arms and their waist or around their legs, and you pull the trigger, and it shoots out a tight line with weights at the end, and then they got a little barb on them, and they spin around, and the force pulls their legs together, or pulls their arms into their side, and then locks into their skin. So they try to pull out of it, it yanks on their skin.
Oh wow! Why do we do that?
So they're just not they're not tested enough to be deployed everywhere. Like they have to go through arduous process to deploy something like that. But it was like they showed it in a bunch of simulations where like dude comes running by and they hit him with it and he goes right down. Like legs just lock up and it's like face plant and all he can do is a rabbit hop because you can't just reach down and pull it off because it's a Kevlar wire. So it's really, really hard to snap. So
dude, that's brilliant. Like to me, that makes the most. Although I guess if someone's holding a gun at you, you fire that thing at them, they're gonna fire it before they. The chances of you being able to hit the gun itself.
And then the other problem is like, what if you hit them and they go down and smack their head on a curb and die? Yeah, you know, it's like it's really hard to like subdue a human that doesn't want to be subdued without harming them.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem. I mean, like it's like but again, sort of. I was sort of joking with the robots, but now I think about it. If they've got perfect aim, perfect targeting, then potentially they could take a gun out of someone's hand from 200 feet, right, 300 feet.
Yeah,
like if they could predict like the motion and weight and movement of the arm and everything and come up with a firing solution that just hits the firearm but doesn't hit the person.
But people are terrified of the idea of like weaponized.
Yeah, because if there's even a bug in that, if that thing goes all like Elon Musk autopilot, like we all die.
But
right?
Think about it. But what goes worse? What's worse than a bunch of like, racist, sexist, homophobic cops? I mean, like that's like, if it solves that problem,
if that's the bar, you can stand to have some mistakes made.
If you've got someone drunk and you can bolo them or whatever instead of beating the shit out of them, then there's no excuse for that kind of behavior, right? I mean, then all of a sudden, I think you'd have different people. My concern is that the people who have been, attracted to the police force have been attracted to the use of force by police to do like who kind of want to kick ass. Does that make sense?
No, I grew up like
totally
a police officer.
It is that. Yeah.
So I feel like if you could somehow take that part of it away from the police so that their job is truly just policing, then you would be bringing in people who have a different perspective on it, right? Who people aren't there to kick ass; they're there to save ass.
Actually, whatever the interesting is, what about technology to solve this problem? Let's think about it. Like, what do we have that's cheap and we can stand to lose them? Like it's no more expensive than say like replacing the armor on a police officer if they get shot or something. Couldn't we just take like DJI Phantoms or out of the box like drones and just equip them with like freaking bear mace sprayers? And just like if you have an assailant or whatever, don't chase them, don't go after them, don't get in a gunfight with them. Just
this bolo thing. You can have the bolo thing attached to that, or again, you can weaponize it to such an extent that it like what if it fires if it's got a very accurate aim, you've got a guy threatening people with guns that flies into the freaking room and takes the gun out of their hand, and then it's all going to be coordinated because they can see what's going on. I think that I don't know. I mean,
there's got to be better solutions than what we got now.
I think there's probably a lot of lobbying against that because that's going to take a lot of people with guns out of the equation.
Or like one of the morbid kind of solutions that I had the other day. But honestly, it could work. It's just nobody would want to go for it. Is like where you have these bad school shooting situations. It's like just have the teacher have like flashbangs under their desk, and just if anybody comes running the room or anything goes wrong, just pull the pin and huck one of them things, and it just knocks everybody out. Just knock out all the students, knock out the teacher, knock out the shooter. Everybody. Like literally, just everybody goes down. So that it's just a calm situation that the police can then just come in. They don't have to worry about getting shot at or anything. They just bust in and rip through the doors.
Because everybody.
What do the flashbangs do? What do they just disorient?
Exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a concussive force. If you're outside of the range where it knocks you out, it completely blinds you for like 45 seconds or a minute. I mean, it's bad.
Big loud bang and a bright flash.
So put one of those in the center of every single classroom.
Yeah, and it takes out your hearing too, so they can't hear if somebody's coming up on them, like a police officer or something. They won't be able to hear. Their ears will just be ringing for hours.
But then why? Wow. So I mean, again, extreme.
But that's why I said nobody wants their kids flashbang, but I'd rather have a flashbang kid than a dead one,
Well, but in a way, like what if you put one of those in the center of every single room, on the ceiling of every single room in a school or every classroom where there's going to be numerous kids, and the moment there's a problem like that, there's just a remote way of setting it off, and then bingo,
some little shit though is going to reach up there and pull the pin on
the fire alarm,
and then we can't have it anymore.
Well, no, it's got to be some kind of a remote system or something.
Yeah,
and there's going to be problems.
Gas.
But again, it can't be more problems than 19
any sort of tranquilizing agent. You're going to end up killing people because you can't tell how much to give, and if somebody has a bad reaction or because like why not like tranquilizer darts like you do with animals or something. But well, it has to
right?
be it has to be dialed in for the size and weight of the person and this and that. And are you going to trust some 6-week training cop to fucking put the right chemicals in the right amounts into the tranquilizer dart? No, it can just kill people. Or they're going to be, I didn't have my trank darts because I was getting high for the last 6 months. You know, on the clock, and then I had to shoot him.
he goes to get his trank dart, and it's like empty. It's like,
I thought I was pulling out my tranquilizer gun. Taser. Pow, 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 pow.
Yeah, that was.
No, I agree.
Glock weighs the same as my taser.
Solutions better regulate guns, but I mean, I think that's the problem, isn't it? I don't know how we regulate them at this point.
When there's that many, it's like
the regulation is the problem. The problem is getting the guns
other.
away from the people who shouldn't have them, and that's so. I feel like we've almost got past that point where I feel like we need to have responses to these people as opposed to. Look, I'm not saying there shouldn't be legislation as well. I'm not, I'm not a big fan of this.
Do it all, total package.
We
nothing off the table
for a minute. It was like it's multi pieces. There's
absolutely
there
is no simple solution to this. Otherwise, there would have already been
one thing, and it's like just hit it hard from every angle, defensive, offensive. But the biggest thing is like people are like, oh, what separates America from another country? A lot of people are like, well, guns. But it's like, no, there's a lot of other things you got to factor in too. Like we don't have good medical care. Our parents have to work way too hard, which means they're never at home to raise us, which means we're raised by the internet. So all these other tortured souls on 4chan are the ones that are actually like giving me my life's mission. And then you grow up and it's like you just hate yourself and you hate society and you've been bullied to death. And it's like everybody's just like, that's just how kids are. Here in the United States,
one that kills me.
And it's all a video game anyway.
On the internet. Like somebody was threatening to kill people and they're like, oh, we didn't report it because we see that all the time. It's like people talk like that on the internet.
Yeah.
Like it's not uncommon to be like on a game of Call of Duty in America and have like some kid be like, I'm going to come to your house and kill you right now because you cheated or whatever. It's whatever. I did your mom, and that's just become the norm here. And so everybody just gets pushed their limits. And you see this massive spike during COVID because, of course, everybody's now cooped up. There's less social interactions. So now people are being less socialized. Most of their social interactions are on the internet, which is like the most toxic place to get your social interactions. So it adds up. It has a toll. And then we have no mental health services. We have piss poor education in this country. And so from the time that the kid pops out of the vaginas, like we fail them.
Well, that's right. You've got no right over it. Yes, the state is very concerned about that baby until it's born.
The second it's born, that's like that's how you define the party.
All of a sudden, it's like, hey, you're on your own, loser.
Yeah, exactly. We got you here. You should be grateful. Now go beg for some porridge.
But I do feel, I do feel like we're at a point now where we need to come up with some kind of technological solution to these things, because I know it's ridiculous that we can't just freaking give our guns up, but the reality is, the people who want to give the guns up aren't the problem.
I don't get how we can design like a nuclear bomb that can go into space and come down at Mach 20 and hit within like 15 feet of any target on Earth. But we can't devise like a smart bullet that can disarm somebody in any situation. Like, that's just weird.
Because we don't want to.
Yeah.
All the things that humanity has ever wanted to accomplish, we do so very well.
Very true.
We haven't fixed it because we don't want to.
The problem is you'd be developing a technology that would give you theoretically less power, because if it works for them, it'd render you inert too, right? In the wrong hands, somebody could disarm you. They could rise up against the government or do something like so. But
isn't that why you want to have guns in the first place? I mean, isn't that the whole point of being able to rise up against?
It's a circle jerk, dude. It totally is a circle jerk.
No, it just drives me mad. It drives me absolutely mad. I feel like
hope we start focusing moving forward. And I know it's got to happen at some point. Like somebody has to make the connections outside of the political spectrum, where they're like, because if you're a politician, you're only in office for so many years. So you have to maximize how much money you can make. So you do all the wrong things. You don't want to do anything that's long term. You don't want to set up your predecessor for something. So, and that's with this, it's not an easy problem to solve, right? You want to solve education. We're not going to know the results of that for 10 to 18 years. You want to know that you want to change the mental health system and stuff. It's going to take years before that pays dividends and you actually understand. It's not going to just be like snap your fingers and it happens, right? It's going to be a long, arduous process. And in the meantime, you still have to come up with other solutions to protect yourself from the ones you did mess up, because it's like, if you can't stop a suicide bomber, you can't. Like that's that. I mean, you can if you know where they're coming from and everything, and you have the vectors, and that's kind of the point. But if they're committed to killing people, they're going to kill people.
Well, and you get into the whole Minority Report thing, right?
Yeah.
You get into the whole idea that you're gonna So I mean, Google's already trying to track people who are being radicalized, right? And then what does that mean?
They do a shitty job of it. They do an absolute piss poor shitty job of it because, man, these kids that are in plain sight posting on social media and posting in forums and saying exactly what they're going to do and when they're going to do it still just completely slip through the cracks somehow. So,
but it's also not. I mean, I don't know how much of that is the platform's responsibility. How much of it is societal responsibility? I mean, I just don't know. As you say, I think it's a very complex. I don't think it really pissed me off that the shooting in Buffalo. They're like, look, fuck Twitch. It's like, what? How the hell did we get to really?
Like, what? It's like, okay, I get blaming the objects, but come on.
I mean, where the hell does that? See, we shouldn't have grocery stores. What? Like, I don't know. It just seems like an odd. It's funny. I'm sort of haunted by what James Gurney, Jim Evo just said, where he's saying look, why it's so complicated. Why can't we just get rid of the guns? But I feel like that's the problem. I think it actually may be more complicated to get rid of the guns. Honestly,
yeah.
By a huge factor here in the United States, because again, our Constitution, our literally founding documents and the rights, the thing that makes us a free country, is these rules that we wrote in the beginning. And a lot of people don't agree with those rules, and that's fine. But those are the rules. Those are the guarantees. Those are your rights. Those aren't privileges. Those are your rights. And it just happens in the beginning. That was one of the rights that was given. It's hard to take that away.
Except for the part where they built into the rules that we can change the rules.
It's called an amendment. What part of amendment don't you understand?
But that opens up a whole weird ball of wax.
Yeah, you still have to do everything else, though, because even if you did ban guns, it's going to take you half a century to wait for enough people to die and enough guns to come into view that you can destroy and get rid of and suppress enough information to create guns with desktop CNCs and stuff like that. It would be very difficult.
Although AI
I think it's akin to the drug problem now.
AI could get very, 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 very good at identifying guns and then targeting them. I mean, that'd be an amazing thing to work on.
If we can train them to identify cancer cells better than people.
Yeah, if they can identify blobs on your skin as cancerous or not, you'd think it would be able to figure out from multiple angles, And also, here's the other thing: is why is the video footage so freaking terrible in all of these systems? Why is it whenever I get sent you get an alert saying oh, look out for this man with a gun walking in your neighborhood, and it's like a blurry black and white shot.
Yeah,
I mean, I got a better freaking camera in my backyard than I do. Than it's security for our entire neighborhood.
I don't know what it is about the government, but they always buy really old shit. The government still has computers running on Windows XP. There's just something about the government doesn't want something unless it's been tested for 9,000 years in salt water. Then they'll be like, we'll take 100.
It's because, as you say, I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to, this is where I think China has a huge advantage over us and I'm not saying that we should I'm not praising China. I'm not saying this is the way to go, but China goes, okay, we see a problem with radicalization in what groups? Groups that believe in Islam. Okay, so let's just take all of them and put them in a camp. I mean, obviously not the solution, but very much a solution, if that makes sense. They're also not worried about these 4-year plan because they're looking at 100 years in the future, 500 years in the future. They're planning as a race, not as a political race. And again, I'm not saying that any of this is right in any way, but I'm just saying that I think we need to we need to start thinking about how do we change the way we work to be more forward thinking, because as you say, we've got a 4-year. We are so freaking ADHD as a society. We've only got the now.
Yeah.
We can't see any further ahead. We're just not designed to do that for some reason,
I just think that there's the core thing, and it's a long-term goal is every single human being should be regardless of their class, their situation, or everything, every single human being should be raised and indoctrinated with a need to survive. That instinct that used to be just automatic, we've bred out of ourselves. The only, somebody's like, oh, well, life's bad, I'm going to commit suicide or whatever, right? It's they feel like their life isn't worth anything to get to that point. And I feel like a lot of that comes from a lot of bullying and absence of parents and loneliness over time compounds into you just figuring out that you hate yourself. And that's a terrible thing. We need to figure out how to make the system so that every single person, once they're on their way, regardless of their situation, regardless of everything, that they know that their life is worth something, and that nothing is worth giving up that life, because every person can be stopped that values their life. If they don't value their life, that makes it a lot harder, because the only way to stop that person is to get to them before they kill more people. Like, that's it, because they've committed to it, right? They're like, I am going into this action fully well knowing I'm not coming out of this alive, and even if I'm alive, I'm going to be probably put to death by a trial or thrown in jail for the rest of my life. So they don't value their life going into this, and it's like, that's where I think we really failed here in this country. Is you have all these children that are growing up, and it's predominantly young people. It's not all young people. Like, we just had that mass shooting with an older dude, because the doctor like botched his back operation, put him in crippling pain, and then refused to help him after he screwed up the operation. So he went to the hospital and killed him and a bunch of other people. And it's like,
is that what happened with that
situation? Yeah, he actually, and the thing is, he even told him, he's like, I'm going to kill anybody that gets in my, I'm just coming to kill that doctor, but anybody that gets in my way, I'm going to kill you. Like, nothing's going to stop me from killing this, because he was really mad at the surgeon that botched his surgery and refused to help him with pain management afterwards. So it's like, but why do we have a system where that happens? Like, it shouldn't happen. Like, you shouldn't, like, if you go through surgery and they botch the surgery, it's like, okay, well, we need to figure out what we did wrong. We need to correct it. We need whatever medications it takes, whatever we have to do to make your quality of life is as good as humanly possible. Instead of just letting you sit at home and become more and more dangerous, because you get to the point where you're like, I hurt so bad, I just want to die. And then you're like, well, if I die, I'm going to take the people that put me in this situation with me. It's like, we got to stop that thinking. We got to stop that.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that mental health is such a huge issue is I mean,
it's astronomically huge.
Yeah. I mean, and especially now, if we can, it's a bit like preventative medicine, isn't it? If there's some way if we could sort of start laying down the groundwork to treat this stuff before it becomes a problem, or as soon as it starts to become a problem, then that would be obviously a much, a big improvement, as opposed to trying to just deal with it by violently knocking guns out of people's hands without killing everybody or whatever. I mean, but again, I just don't know how to I don't know how to change people's short-term perspective on stuff. And my own as well. I mean,
I don't have that's the thing I want to make clear. I don't have the solutions. I'm not sitting here on a soapbox going, this is how we fix it. Like, I can't even guarantee you that other things that people want to try won't fix it. All I'm saying is, just from my observations growing up, and also growing up in a poor family and being abused, I've been at my wit's end before. I didn't want to hurt anybody else, but I definitely wanted to hurt myself, and I almost succeeded more than a couple of times. And so I understand the mental state, and I understand the conditions that get me to that state. And it's like, how is this able to happen in a modern society? It shouldn't. Like, why am I at home alone? Why are my parents always working like 24/7 to barely keep the lights on and barely have any food? It's like, why am I on the internet, trying to gain attention from people that want to hurt me? Like, why am I letting people hurt me just so that I feel like I'm a part of something? It's stuff. It's that weird mentality. It's like, when you grow up, it's like humans crave attention. And unfortunately, if they can't get attention from good sources, they're going to get it from the bad sources. And when they get it from the bad sources, that starts changing how they see the world. A suicide bomber doesn't go in and push the button, blowing everybody up, thinking he's doing a bad thing. I mean, in his head, he's convinced himself that he's doing God's work, right? He believes in his heart that when he's pushing button,
but that's where I get really, that really bothers me too, as well. Cause I go like, why are we, I understand allowing people their beliefs and stuff, but if your beliefs are so completely wrong, I mean, I don't understand what the difference between some crazy guy on the bus, waving a knife around and talking about some imaginary voices that he's hearing is any different than some, Christian preacher talking about, that
not at the end of the day,
that thinking is bad, and you should, thinking is the enemy of God and all this kind of stuff. I mean,
the interesting thing is, every Abrahamic religion, including Islam, Christianity, Catholicism, even Mormonism, all of the books have a built-in clause that says law of the land, because every religion established that they wouldn't survive very long if you didn't have to follow the law of the land. And basically, if that's adhered to, that means that even if the Bible tells you to do something bad, if it's illegal, you still can't do it. Like, if you're properly following. Now, granted, everybody's bent the words to their favor and, to get what they want. But it's like, that was built in for a purpose, because a religion wouldn't last very long if you had to break the law continuously to do it. Right. It's like, if in the Bible it said, like, God, had sex with a 12-year-old girl, that would make him a child molester today, right? I mean, the book literally says that he did. He slept with a Virgin Mary, 12 years old, just basically came of age, and he impregnates her. She has Jesus. It's like, well, today that's a rape. That's a rape of a child and a sexual assault. Well, they still celebrate that in the book, but they don't allow anybody to do it today because the law has changed. The ages have changed. And because the ages have changed, it's now a felony. You just ignore that part of the book. You just say, no, now the age is 18. Like you can see it's still go forth and be fruitful, but do it legally so you don't land in jail.
Who was the guy who had to take his son up to the top of the mountain and kill him, sacrifice him to God?
Was that Cain and Abel or?
No, it was later than that. I can't remember.
Isaac.
Was it Isaac?
Isaac?
Abraham was ordered to kill his son Isaac.
Yeah. And because he was a true believer in God, he went up and was about to do it, and then God stopped him just in time. And I've always, that story has always haunted me because I go like, this is
as a test of his faith.
And the good part is that I was like, what if the lesson here is not to do that? Like, you know what I mean? It's like I just, oh my God, you're such a good man that you would kill an innocent child for your God. Like, I was like, whoa, where are we going with this? What are we learning here? It's an odd thing,
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a time where people were just like, if you're a man and you lay with a man, what is it, Leviticus? That's like, a man who lie with a man as he lieth with a woman shall be put to death. It's like, okay, well, unfortunately, there's still countries that practice that today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So and it's but the law of the land today here in the United States is you can't do that. So, Christianity can go around and bitch and complain about all they want, but they can't kill anybody because that would be violating the rule of the law of the land. Now, the problem is when you get into extremism like Westboro Baptist Church for Christianity or radical Islam with Sharia law and all that, then you start overriding that because it's like they have a feeling of purpose. Like we can ignore the rest of the Bible because we're God's instrument of war. Like in wartime, we believe a whole different set of rules, and every religion
God is always on
a
our
group
side.
that does
It's amazing how that happens. God is always on everyone's side.
God always needs money, and he's always trying to kill his own creation somewhere else that speaks a different language. Yeah.
Could you imagine trying to write the Bible down? Could you imagine trying to deliver the Bible to people now? It would be like you'd be like.
It would never even make it to like the cheapest B movie script. It'd be like, this thing has more plot holes in it than Jimmy Neutron.
Oh yeah,
like, what's going on here? Hey, I want to thank some of these people who've been supporting. This has been awesome.
Yes.
Eric G, thank you for the $2 super chat. Appreciate it. Hope things are going better for your brother. I am me. Thank you for the $20.28. I believe that was sexist before it got converted. He said, we got to find a way to stop David from harassing us like this Barn and Ox. It's getting annoying. I know. I'm offended by his bald head. It makes him seem like he's a little bit of a tough guy and he's picking on me.
I don't know if it's tough or pathetic. One of the two, depending on the angle.
Pup Shepherd, what's up, Pup? Arf Wags. Thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, I've been watching Corridor Crew VFX Artist React series. I love that.
I love those
every
the whole whatever insert reacts. Whatever. They got stunt people, they got animators, they got VFX, the whole kit.
But I prefer the VFX the ones that I like.
Yeah, they sit down with the people that actually do the effects and stuff, and they tell them like all the little secrets and behind the scenes stuff. It's cool.
It's almost ruining movies for me. It's
really?
Almost. I've learning so much. I can tell now. I can see it. I can see. Why is the lighting funny on that guy's face compared to the background of the scene?
Yeah.
Why, like,
and once they point it out, you can't ever unsee it.
Oh, something that I've not seen people talk about? Mic packs. I look for the mic pack.
Really?
I didn't even think about that.
Interesting.
Every time someone's talking like this and then turns around to go, I look at their freaking waist to see where have they hidden the mic pack.
That's fun.
Every time. Yeah.
Every once in a while I find myself, like, especially during dialogue scenes, I'm not looking at the people talking. I'm looking in the background just to see what weird shit might be happening that nobody noticed or something.
Yeah.
Somebody's elbow pops in the thing or you
get the the extras you get stuck on.
I'm still catching things in Stargate, by the way. Each time through Stargate, I find new stuff like the rubber gun and Amanda Tapping like kneeled down around a corner waiting for her cue because they released the widescreen version when it used to be 4x3.
Yeah, dude, there's one. There's the one with the doubles when Rod and Rodney are there. There is a shot that is literally a shot of supposedly Rodney, and it's the guy who was the stand-in. They didn't even bother. They're like, well, it's quick. It's quick. Good enough.
I love that stuff though. That's fun.
Like, that CGI budget would be a little hard to like superimpose the face. Nobody's gonna know. This will be fine. They're moving. It'll probably be blurred.
Yeah.
You see the same extra in like it's like a running scene, right?
Oh yeah.
But it's like flipping from different angles, and it's like the same extra running in 3D. I'm running this way. Oh, I forgot my backpack. I gotta go back this way, and then I'm running back.
Thank God for Unreal Engine. They can now do a lot of scenes with metahumans, right?
Dude, Unreal Engine 5 is a game changer,
especially for crowd scenes and stuff. You won't be able to tell.
You won't need them.
You plunk down a bunch of puppets.
Because of COVID, they've got really good at it. All of the C stuff, everything in C, there were like
so good.
10 people standing around, and it's like,
bring on the armies. It's so cool. Like, they've actually improved a lot of that stuff over many years. Like the Lord of the Rings battles, they're not so like a lot of that's all CG. Like especially the high ups, it's all CG. But there's actually like battle. Like AI code for how the battle is supposed to go,
like and personalities to different characters and stuff.
Yeah, and they're actually pretty accurate. It started off as like
because they
some sort of simulation
when there's like 10,000 people on the field, right?
Yeah, they can, but it's incredibly expensive.
And that's the cool thing is like it's super efficient. You can actually, it's like almost military grade. You can simulate like how would this battle actually work out, like within certain parameters and things, whether it's 10,000 Huns against 1,000 Spartans kind of things. Like it's really neat. They've done a really good job. It's kind of
cool. The idea of being able to say, okay, this is the result I want. This is the power. So what do I need to do to get them to do? I mean, look, I believe, frankly, I just point myself out of a job. I think all of those kind of movies should just all be CG.
Yeah, Unreal 5 has already fooled me anymore. I've already been fooled by Unreal 5. Yeah, like, have you guys watched? There's a series on Netflix called Love, Death, and Robots. Have you seen it?
Have you seen the new ones?
Oh, the new one. You've seen the new season then, right? Have you seen season 3? Season 3? Chef's kiss. Totally. It's amazing.
Beautiful.
It's amazing. There's one mini series, like it's a chain of mini series. Like they're unconnected. Like each one's a different story in a different format using like a different visual. Yeah. There's one in there where it's like this dude who's like an immortal albino guy. Remember that one? The dude in the desert who was like he was like an albino. Maybe you didn't see that one. He's an albino guy that like wanders through the desert and he's immortal and he heals really fast. No, this is 3. This is the brand new one. Just came out like a couple
did I miss one? I might have missed one.
You probably haven't. You probably didn't see it. Okay, if you didn't see it, this one's really cool. When it starts out, you see a guy's face and he's standing like up on a mountain. And I was like, I thought this was supposed to be animation. Like I immediately was like, why are they putting real people in here? And I found out, no, he's not real. He just looks absolutely the lighting and everything is so flawless that 90% of the scenes you cannot tell that's not a real human.
What about that crazy Knights one at the end? That the last one I saw was some crazy it was almost like a Bollywood kind of style, weird. There was like a mermaid thing, but it all looked so real.
That mermaid was a trip.
My God,
it looks like a real person,
and it was. And the horses and the soldiers, and they would suddenly do these completely unnatural moves that were strangely natural. Like it was just, it is. I can't recommend that enough, honestly.
Yeah, the animation is so next level and so natural and so perfectly in tune with the environment. Like I keep forgetting I'm watching animation.
Yeah, no,
it's like these people don't really exist.
But that makes sense to me. Then you don't get. Then you don't have to have a freaking Johnny Depp in your multi-billion-dollar Pirates of Penzance or an Amber Heard they can all just be, I mean, just what do you do? Otherwise you cast these idiots, these weird alien creatures that they call Hollywood movie stars, and the Hollywood movie stars do stupid things, and you've just spent all that money. Just freaking CG them. And then make little movies with actors. People want to see acting, great, they see acting. But this big stuff with all the action, it just looks stupid when they turn into animated characters. Anyway, it's like they're very human, and all of a sudden they cut to like whee, and they just like disappear and they defy gravity. Just do it all with CG.
Do you know how much money the movie industry would make if they just like animated everybody like in the movies with a generic like face and a generic thing, and then you could license, like you could pay like $1 more and license the voice print and the likeness of another celebrity. So you're like, I want Aquaman to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I want Batman to be Danny DeVito. It's like that'd be awesome.
I want Benedict Cumberbatch as
everybody,
as everyone, as Aquaman. So give Aquaman's body, but Benedict Cumberbatch acting.
Yeah, and then if somebody like commits a heinous crime after you just filmed a movie, a multi-billion-dollar movie, you don't have to push it out a year and try to edit the person out. You just change them to a different person.
But that's what I mean.
Tig Notaro's everybody. Just make Tig Notaro everybody.
At this point, I do not understand why these companies are spending this kind of money and risking it all by putting these faces on people. I mean, not to put people out of a job, but to put people out of a job. It just doesn't make any sense. I understand it for smaller films. I understand it for films that are about, you know, to me, it's like a different type of film. There's like films that are like theater. There are films that are about people, and that's the whole point of it. It's a lot of TV series are about people. I totally understand that. But let's face it, The Avengers is not about the heart-to-heart conversations, or I mean, you could still make those little quibs and jokes.
Character development? What?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe Iron Man, but
I always find those awkward, anyways. To be honest,
I think on our current trajectory, AI. I don't know if it'll be within our lifetime, but I think AI combined with Unreal 5, combined with like environmental simulations, combined with voice enhancement and deep fakes, and all that stuff's going to come together into a program where you basically just feed it a script and it makes you like a AAA movie. like you sit down and you're like, "Hey Alexa, I would like a movie about a love story between a mermaid and a she-wolf." And I wanted to take place in Transylvania, but on Mars. And you're just like literally, and it's like processing. And it's like 15 minutes. You come back and it's like, we have your movie. It like starts up. It's got 3D credits and the characters are running through and having dialogue. And all the fights are based on like what the outcome should be based on your preferences.
Did you ever see that movie Dance? Was it Danced or something kind of this weird film I saw on Netflix? I can't remember.
By the way, if anybody develops that technology, I'm patent pending, so you owe me money.
There you go. Yeah. I have to look it up because there was one that was done. It wasn't like entirely realistic, but it was real enough to be completely. I was completely immersed in this thing.
Yes, I remember. What was that movie that came out like years and years and years ago? That was like groundbreaking. I think it was Final Fantasy. Remember Final Fantasy?
Yeah, the Spirits Within. That was like what?
But that was just bad.
Now you watch it today and you're just like, what was I like back then? We were like, oh my god, it's like real people in the movies. Yeah. It's like, but now you look at it today and you're like, yeah, that doesn't hold up. Like,
although even then they were
video games
with better bad acting. It still came across like bad acting to me.
It's horrible acting, but just like the animations and stuff, they were nowhere near what they are today.
It's all right.
What?
Sorry, hey, Pup Shepherd said, "What VFX shot in films interest you the most?" Oof, that's a tough one. I mean, I always liked the Matrix bullet time thing when I figured out how they did that. But now they use that thing so to death. It's like it's generic, and now the magic. But when I first saw that thing in the theater where they like froze like Neo and he was like moving slowly and the bullets like
it's like the most iconic effect. Yeah,
I mean, like, damn man, that is. And then they started using it in commercials and stuff. It was like it was played out.
Recently, the ones that are most interesting to me right now, not most interesting, but the one that jumps to mind for me now is I watched 1917 recently, and the way they managed to integrate CG into transitions and into this sort of almost one shot approach to the film, I thought was extraordinary. Like, I just don't know how they did. I just don't know how they did a lot of the stuff they did
behind the scenes. Some of those takes are like 12, 15 minutes plus of actual humans and cameras moving completely, no jump cuts. Like if they screw up one thing, they have to reset the whole thing and do it again. It's like, and they're running along a trench with like 100 extras and they all have to hit their marks perfectly. Otherwise they reset and do it again.
Watching watching how they filmed a lot of those scenes is intense.
I got to do that.
I haven't watched the whole movie. I haven't seen that. I've seen a lot of the BTS stuff, but I haven't.
Watched the movie. Watch the movie. The movie's fantastic.
You guys want to have your mind blown though? Check this link out. I'll paste it into the chat.
All right. He's blowing our mind.
What is it's a quick GIF from the new Avatar movie, the Avatar 2 or whatever that's coming out.
I thought it's
fully CG.
It looks like an after-school special. All those little blue people and stuff.
Well, yeah, but it's come a long way.
Looks so natural too.
The water,
like
the hands,
so much better.
The water, the hands, everything in that does not actually exist.
No, it's extraordinary.
The material.
I know it's just like 3 seconds or whatever. But people are saying like, oh no, at least the hands, right? Nope. I mean, there's probably some level of motion capture here, but
Gantz, that was the one. Thanks, Sam.
The whole thing. The link I pasted it like 5 times, two
great.
lines above your ask. I'll do
it.
The
thing is the whole thing's mocapped, and I guarantee you that they wrapped some kind of a green thing around his hand so that when he was pulling on it, it would look like, he was actually pulling on something.
The whole thing. The strap is fake. There's nothing it's tied to. There's nothing in his hand. The hands aren't there. None of it.
So the thing that gives it away to me is that when he's pulling the strap with a bunch of tension, you notice it doesn't deform the hand at all.
That and the strap. The strap itself doesn't seem to like bounce like it ought to.
That's true. But the water, if you just looked at this, if this was just like a little couple second scene or something as it was transitioning along with live action, you wouldn't know. Like it's so crazy.
Oh, it's amazing.
I've even watched there was a God, I wish I remember the channel. This is a long time ago. I wish I had a sub to it. There's a channel where this guy did 3D renderings and then he mixed them in with real pictures, like of landscapes, landscapes and inside a house, and he mixed them in, and it was like, is it real or is it CG? And he'd go through and then give you time to guess, right? He'd like pan across it and stuff, and then you could guess, and then he'd tell you which one was real and which one was CG, and you'd be wrong a lot of the time. So cool. And because he did everything, he put the noise into the photos. When he put people into the scenes that were like walking in the distance and stuff, the way that they cast light and everything, it's just like you'd look at it, and you'd be like, "This is 100% real. Like this is a photograph out of a camera." And it's like, nope, 100% 3D rendered.
Oh, I put a trailer for the Gantz movie in there as well. You should have a look at. It's pretty extraordinary too.
You guys gotta check out this too.
Oh, something went wrong. Hold on. I probably clicked the wrong thing. Hold on. Oops, something went wrong.
Oh no!
Because you were in studio, I think. Hold on, let me remove studio.
Nabbit.
Remove studio.
Nabbit.
See, is that it? Yeah, Gantz 0.
Yeah. Oh,
there we go.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's just, again, not entirely realistic, but pretty freaking close. And just, given what they're doing with it. And this was, again, keep in mind, this was what, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Like,
this kind of reminds me of Alita. Alita Battle was a battle soldier.
Oh, battle.
I think Alita took a lot of stuff.
Battle Angel. That was cool.
I think Alita took a lot of stuff from this. But this is, again, just given the world that they're in, they're real enough. And you don't have to worry about them, doing something stupid and blowing your blockbuster out of the, having it pulled from theaters. You know what I mean?
What's going to happen is all actors are just going to become voice actors, and then all the stunt people are going to become the motion capture folks. And every single movie is just going to be shot in a giant green room with people running around with a silver ball on a stick. And the end result is just going to look like this absolutely photorealistic epic where like no camera shot is impossible.
When those are the films you want to make. I mean, this is the thing is I think people talk about it like it's going to like, oh, that's it. Then all actors are gone. No, not all actors are gone. No, not all directors are gone. I mean, these are just technologies. It's like theater obviously didn't do as well once, film and TV came out. But the reality is it still exists. It's still another form of, acting there's always going to be a need for humans in some way, shape, or form.
Well, look at Gollum, right? Like an actor can bring a hell of a lot of life to a character that isn't particularly them, right? Forever people have been putting makeup and like a Worf on Star Trek and stuff, right? It's like nobody knows that's Michael Dorn under there unless you tell them there's so much damn makeup on him, right? But it's like he creates the character, and people have done that on film and in theater forever. It's just this is another evolution of that. Instead of putting all the makeup on your face, they're putting it in with CG.
Yeah,
and you're still
and also, God, and digital makeup as well. Oh my God, the stuff I see, the cleanup they do on people now. I mean, I would be like, I'd almost be worried about people seeing me in the flesh if they've had their go at digital makeup on people, because you can remove every single flaw from a. I mean, look at Brad Pitt. I mean, look at the stuff they do.
I saw a before and after of the digital makeup for Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible.
Oh yeah,
and it's like because in every Mission Impossible movie, he looks like he's the same age. He looks like he's maybe in his early 30s.
They're doing makeup on it. You think
no age marks on his face or anything, and then it's like pre-digital makeup and pre-lighting. It's like no, he's got like the little crow's feet on his eyes, and he's developing some lines on his forehead and on his face.
Because he always looks so young to me. Like I'm always like, Jesus,
that's a lot of digital makeup to make.
Xenu has been kind to him, or whatever the hell it is.
I mean, I read this look good for his age. He absolutely does.
Speaking of Xenus and Scientology, I just finished Cultish. This book, Cultish.
Ooh.
It's a fun book. It's a fun read. It's basically about the language of cults and how it's being used in, in marketing and all sorts of stuff. But it goes through some Jonestown and all these horrific.
Ooh, I want to read that. That's something I'm very interested in that.
And
stuff.
I did an audiobook on it. And it was great. It was really, really great. Yeah. I mean, she's a bit stagey about it, but I honestly, I like the information far outweighs anything I didn't like about it. It's extraordinary. Just the idea about how, and I see it even, I've started seeing it in everything now. Like there's lingo and stuff that comes into play with even just on like a YouTube channel or you have a way of speaking with your quote unquote audience or whatever the term is that you would use for people in the chat and stuff. That you build up a little language around stuff, and if you sort of weaponize that, how you could turn it into, it's really, I think you guys would like it. I think you guys would. It's called Cultish. I can't remember the name of the author, but it's a really interesting read.
Yeah, no, in doctor, like I love studying psychology. It's actually like probably my favorite thing right now.
Oh, then you'll
because I want to know. Like as I get older and stuff, I notice things change. I see things change in the world. As a public figure of some kind, it's like I get to see all walks of life all the time. 24/7 on the internet. I'm usually up till like 4 a.m, so I get to see new cultures coming in, new cultures leaving. And so I get curious about this stuff and I start looking into it. In my 20s, I was really big into theology and studying, things like the Dead Sea Scrolls. I went and saw them in person in Seattle. Came to find out like 90% of them were fake.
Oh, yeah. Didn't we talk about that on a
early
episode of Tech Talk?
Like, I want a refund.
And for like years, for like 12 years, people thought those things were spreading around and like people looking at them and stuff. And then some college or university got their hands on them just to make sure, and they're like, oh shit, everybody, all these experts and stuff were totally convinced. Yeah, there's like 10% that was like legit, the rest was all fake. And so but like going back and studying that, like looking at Old Testament versus New Testament and the New Covenant, and going through and looking at like where they diverge, like between Catholicism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, like they all start from the exact same roots. They just all take off in different directions, but still maintaining like the same subplot, right? It's like it's an evolution of it. And you go through and you just start studying, and you start seeing like, why did they make the changes that they did in certain cultures and not in other cultures, or vice versa? And you start to realize that there's different hierarchies in those places where they diverged, like how the kings acted, how the kings treated the people, taxation of the people, slavery. All of those things hugely dictated the directions that the majority religions took off in. And then every religion's job was to go and try to proliferate their religion into another area to bring more people into the fold and to procreate more than the other religions to produce a bigger army. So but it made sense. It's like back then, if you look at it, it's like literally the instruction manual on how to grow people into positions so that you can control them as chess pieces on a chessboard for your own personal gain. And it's still being used today, but it's because we have so much technology and everything, is so like our lives are a lot more taken care of than they were back in the day. And we live a lot longer than we did back in the day.
And then we live in a less violent culture, as much as it seems horrible.
Compared to what it was back in the day, it's like, even with all the shit that goes on today, it's like compared to back in the day, no, this is nothing.
But it still doesn't mean it can't be better. That's the thing.
No, it can definitely be better. 100%.
I always feel like that's like something that shuts down conversation. Like, look, it's much less violent now than it was before, so we should all be happy. No, it's changed.
No, you should always strive for better. Like I want people to live longer, be healthier, and feel fulfilled in their lives. And so a lot of religions are designed just to make you feel fulfilled in what you're doing. Like, right, as long as you believe and as long as you put money in the collection plate or get other people to, or spread the good word, you're doing your job. Like you should feel good about that. Like you should.
And they gaslight you if it doesn't work. They say you're doing something wrong.
It's the carrot and the stick approach. It's like, as long as you do what we tell you, then God will give you his loving embrace. If you don't do what we tell you to do, which clearly benefits us, then you're in trouble with God, and you can't take it up with God. You can't go over people's heads. You can pray to God, but he's not going to be able to come back to you. And if the pastor said he said something different than what you think he said, well, then you're boned, right? So because there's a clear hierarchy. And so that has played out forever, and it still works today, which is weird because you think, how does it still work? How does something like that still work today, where people are like educated, they understand things like science and math, they understand how we're starting to understand how the universe works, we're starting to understand how the human brain works, we understand genetics to the point that we can even modify our own DNA now. It's like we have all these abilities, but why do people still get stuck on that? And the answer is, when you're a child, whatever you're taught, like language, when you learn language as a child, your core memories that you learn when you're a child are really difficult to part ways with, no matter how intelligent they are later.
Yeah, unconscious bias. There's unconscious. You just can't help it. The stuff you don't even notice you're doing it.
100%, and that's exactly why they don't teach religion when kids come of age. They always teach it when they're young, right along when they're learning language, because it has to be a core memory. Otherwise, it's very easy for it to lose its hold. And so, like, once you start to understand that, then you're like, okay, well, how do cults work, right? Because a lot of people say religion is a cult, and it actually is by definition. But it's like you start looking at Jonestown and stuff like that, and you're like, well, okay, how did they do it, right? And it's like they followed the same model. It was just on a micro scale, right?
Dude, they talk all about this in culture.
It's like amazing. You promise a couple of people, that enlightenment and happiness, and you do everything you can to give it to them or give them the perception of it.
Well, and these are not stupid people. There's a wrong assumption that stupid people fall for things, and it's not true. The issue is that in many cases, you say there's unconscious stuff, there's the upbringing. There's also one. If you convince an intelligent person of something, they become your best way of publicizing your cause, right?
100%.
Once they've committed to it, they'll find reasons why they can share it. I mean,
it's like quantum mechanics too. If you think you're not indoctrinated, you're wrong. We all are. Every single one of us is indoctrinated. It's just we don't look at it that way because we happen to be in a larger super group of people that are also indoctrinated. So everybody else, it's like you follow everything. How old you can be, when you can drink, illegal drugs, the taxes that you have to pay, where you can buy a house, where you can work, where you can go to school. All these things are controlled by powers that you don't have a lot of say in. Depending on where you came from. But you don't really look at that as, oh man, that's like brainwashing and indoctrination when you're growing up and your parents are like, you can only go to community college and you're going to grow up and be, do just like your dad does and continue.
You're a doctor, a lawyer, or I guess
that is a form of indoctrination. But we don't look at it that way because it's like those are our core memories that make us up. That's our core source code. So how could that possibly be wrong? But if you look at any other person that's raised in a different culture and how much different they are from you, that's because they got different instructions. If you swap those two babies at birth and they were raised in the respective areas, the other one would be the one speaking English and becoming a lawyer, right? It has more to do with the environment than anything. And if you can capitalize on that, and people have an innate need to feel safe. That's the biggest thing with cults. If you can make somebody feel safe, if you can bring them in and be like, okay, even if they're not troubled, like Scientology does it with money and success, right? Like you're struggling actor, you come in, they're like, hey, listen, we're gonna get you jobs, we're gonna make you famous,
and they worked hard on you for that.
We're gonna give you superpowers where you can control people's minds and you can levitate objects when you get to this level. And then you're like, you give them every cent you have, beg, borrow, and steal from your family and everything to get into this. But they tell you every time you come in, you're doing the right thing. You got backup with the other people that work there. You're doing the right thing. You're great, and they make you feel good. And then what happens is once you get to a point where you're fully buying into it because you feel good, then they're like, well, you need to go find other people and help them the way we helped you. And then they're on a mission.
You could be a teacher.
Exactly.
You start with your $35 personality test or whatever it is, and then 100%. You slowly you get sort of worked up into that. I hate to do this, but I got to run.
No worries, man. You get out of here.
I'm glad I could. I'm glad I could at least say hello. But
I'm so glad you stopped by, dude. It's
always I miss. Always great. If I don't get my tech talk, in the week, it feel like it throws me off.
Don't talk to me until I've had my tech talk.
Hey, did we decide about Dungeons and Dragons tomorrow? By the way.
Oh.
I'm supposed to be doing that tomorrow.
I believe I'm available.
I believe that was. I think Jimmy was Jim the Evo.
Jimmy the Evo.
The Gurneys.
The Gurneys is talking about being free next this like tomorrow at around the same time, around 2:00 or something. I think I can do it. I'm just not. I have to double check. That's what I'm going to go do now.
I'll say the same. I'll say the same. I think.
I'll check the Discord tomorrow morning, and if you guys are down and you're playing, I'll jump in.
Cool.
All right,
because I don't think I got anything crazy going on tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll all dive into the Discord if we're all available. Fantastic. I hope that's okay with Jim.
Yeah, just make sure you're following us on Twitter and we'll let you
know. Sorry, Dr. Gurney.
Dr. Gurney to you.
I remember James when he was just a student at university.
James, your indoctrination into being a wise ass is showing.
Speaking of cults, Jim the Evo. All right, guys. Talk soon.
Bye.
All right, take it easy. Lots of the family are best.
Cheers.
Peace. Oh man, I love it when he stops by. It's the greatest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you slid. Thank you for the $1.57 super chat. He said, "Nerd, why'd you stop the C# series? It was really good. Honestly, I haven't been programming in a really, really long time, and I'm just rusty as fuck. But once I get back into it, yeah, I'll probably start making a series again." Biker Chris, thank you for the $6.30 super chat. He said, "Hey guys, great stream. Without meaning to sound like a sheep, agree with all that you've been saying." That's okay. That's okay. You can also disagree with it. It's fine. Michael Post, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, "David." Oh, damn, he's already gone. He said, "I heard you were looking to make a new Cube movie. Please tell me you're going to be involved somehow. One of the best movies ever." That would actually be cool to see him reprise his role. And,
or even just a little blip, not a blip, but some kind of cameo would be fun.
I'd actually like to see a prequel of like how he ended up in the room. Like, I didn't get that from watching the movie. I don't know if I like missed it, but it's like, why was he there in the first place? Like, what was his life like before that? Like, what landed him there? I think that'd be a cool prequel. Hey, Gimpy G, what's up, my man? Thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, "I mispronounced the actor's name. I say Benedict Cucumber Snatch."
Bendy Britches Cumberbunt.
I love him. He does look like a turtle though. Every time I see the meme of him next to the turtle, I'm like, that dude, he is the turtle man. Bitchy Poo, thank you for the $10 super chat. He said, "Hey guys, I'm rewatching Babylon 5, which has been upscaled." Ooh, interesting. "But the 3D model ships really don't look that great compared to the current modeling techniques." Oh, so they just like re-rendered all the CG at like a higher resolution, but they kept it looking like potato.
For what? I missed that.
For Babylon 5.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, it's just probably some sort of AI upscaling. Like,
yeah. You know what's crazy?
Just make it fast and cheap.
There's a whole generation of video, like through the 90s and the 2000s, where we will never see a better version. Like we won't, because it was all digitally recorded with low resolution with artifacts. All the stuff that was shot with film, like when they can up-res that shit to like 4K and 8K and it looks flawless.
I still love when Blu-rays, so this was still like a battle between HD DVDs and Blu-ray. At Fry's, they had a side-by-side for HD DVD and Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray, or no, it was a regular DVD and a Blu-ray next to each other. They were playing The Fifth Element.
Yeah.
The Blu-ray was so much better, so it looked so much better. You could tell how cheap of the film they used. It was,
totally.
So
cool. I still watch up-res films where there's like
almost like a flicker to it. It was weird. It was really weird. I mean, I still love the movie. It's great, but because it was just a pure. They hadn't like remastered it or anything. It was just upscaled. Whoop, that was it. And man, that's fun.
A really good example is I think it was Wizard of Oz, the original one with I think Judy Garland, right?
Yeah.
So in the original one, well, they upscaled that one, and you can watch a 4K version of that. They basically cranked up the saturation and made the color look all beautiful. But it's so sharp that you can see like every wire on the monkeys as they're flying around. Wow. You can see the little arbiters holding up the arms of things. You can see
that's cool.
Every little thing that they didn't have to edit out back then because the resolution was so potato on the projector that you wouldn't see it, right? It's like these things would just blend in. But when you're watching an HDR on like an 8K screen, it's like 100% obvious. The other one was Star Trek: The Next Generation that was shot on film.
Yep.
And so when they up-res Star Trek: The Next Generation, it looks like it was just made today. Like it is absolutely tack sharp, but you can start to see how cheap some of the props are, the painting on the walls, the little props that are in the cabinet that look like they were gold and stuff. Now you can clearly tell that they're like plastic and have like little glue points and stuff.
Yeah.
But it looks sharp as a tack, and they even upgraded some of the 3D graphics and stuff like that just to make it look a little bit more modern. But then they tried to do the same thing with was it Voyager? But Voyager was shot all digitally. So they abandoned it and they never up-resed it because when they did the up-res on Voyager, it's like, it just looked pixelated as shit. Like it just doesn't look better. Like you're not getting any of that detail because it's not there. You're having to manufacture it. So we're not going to get an upscale of Deep Space Nine, and we're not going to get an upscale of.
You could.
Well, I mean, you could do an AI upscale kind of thing, but it's not going to be like true. You're not going to be seeing exactly what the camera saw, which is what you get with film.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I've been watching not the Munsters. What is it? The one with Lurch. Addams Family.
Oh yeah, there we go.
So I've been watching the old Addams Family reruns on YouTube because they've been running like this marathon, and it's like it's streamed at 4K, and you're watching it. It's like black and white, but it's tack sharp. Like tack sharp. Like people when they filmed this, they must have had like the greatest glass ever on these cameras because it is just flawlessly sharp. And I love that because like you can go back and watch all this old stuff and it looks so much better than anything that was shot like in the 90s and 2000s.
Wow.
And you're like, wow, this was shot in like the 60s or 70s. You never guessed it. Like Gilligan's Island. Like I went back and watched Gilligan's Island. I think that one was only up-res like 1080p or whatever, but still it's like compared to what it looked like on a TV back in the day, like with the new coloration and everything, you're just like, wow. It's like you get to re-enjoy it. And hopefully that happens with the digital stuff. Like when AI upscaling and stuff gets like really, really, really good. Yeah. Maybe we'll have that for like the 90s and the 2000s. But who knows? We should probably jump into the topics, right? Like for the last 15 minutes.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. Maybe we might have to roll these ones over to next week.
So you guys know about the Microsoft 0-day flaw?
Yeah, we'll always talk about that. Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, so there's a bug, and it's a combination. The bug is actually in Windows. That's in Windows error reporting, but it's exploited through Microsoft Office.
Okay.
And I believe it also can be exploited through the Word document viewer that's built into Windows 10 and Windows 11. I'm not sure though. But basically what happens is, you know, all these emails that we've been seeing for months that it just has an attachment that's a Word document. Have you haven't been seeing those? Okay, so I get shitloads of spam in my email box. It's like, open now, a quarterly report, open now, free, win this, and it's just an attachment that's like, 37284 WordX or DocX. Well, they're thinking that because the attachment is a Word doc, people will open it more easily because it's not an executable.
Yeah.
So it doesn't warn you. It's like Defender doesn't pop up and say, oh my God, you shouldn't open this because it's just a Word doc. And so what happens is the Word doc opens. The Word doc is doped to crash. So when Word opens, it crashes it. And then when it crashes it, Windows error reporting fires off to report it to Microsoft. And then Windows error reporting starts to pull variables through the crash in the document. And what it effectively does is it takes instructions from the document that's crashing and then executes them. So you can pretty much put a payload into the document itself that says, go out to this server and grab this file, download it, and run it. And it'll run it at high privilege on the system.
Damn.
So yeah, this is a bad one. So there's probably like millions of bots out there right now, contaminated systems that have no idea that they're contaminated. All you had to do was open a docx file. It could be an attachment, it could be a download from a web page, it could even be from somebody you trust that their account was hacked and somebody just sent it as them, and you open it, and if you open that Word doc and it just says crashing and Microsoft pops up and says, oh, Windows error reporting, we're reporting the error to Microsoft. Yeah, you're hacked.
Dang.
Your system's probably got like, Nigerian spam bots, or somebody stole all the shit out of your documents folder, and it doesn't leave any trace. So it's like once that happens, you're just boned. And they still haven't patched it. The only way to truly fix it is don't open up any Word documents at all that are attached to anything or for anywhere you don't trust.
Yeah.
Or go into the registry and actually disable this like specific mechanism that executes the code. But by doing that, you might also screw up some compatibility with like other documents and stuff like that.
And that's why you just stick with Google Docs.
Pretty much. So I know you had to get out of here at the regular time. What do you got planned for the afternoon? Anything fun?
Just watching over the garage sale.
Oh yeah, you gotta go do garage sale stuff, huh? Yeah. All right, we'll see. We'll maybe we'll do a little talking over on the Twitters tonight about the quantum materials and
maybe I missed it, but is there anything we can do about this? I know it hasn't been patched or whatever, but say what if I am concerned that I have had this happen to me? What can I do?
The problem is, what do you look for? It literally will execute something. It doesn't get logged what is executed. So once it's executed, I mean, you could go in Task Manager and hopefully find if there's any executables that are running on your system that shouldn't be there. You could check and see if there's any, any telnet sessions or rlogon sessions or anything that are running, but that you're not aware of. Because that's what most people seem to be doing with it, is they're using it to deploy a backdoor so that they can connect remotely into the machine and go through a firewall. So basically it's connecting to them. And so I'd look for any evidence of that, processes that you don't recognize that weren't there before. Look for elevated resource use, things like that. But as far as like knowing what's going on, unless you know every single connection that your computer is making over the internet that's encrypted and every IP address and endpoint and stuff, you're really gonna have a hard time finding this.
Would it be worth doing like safe mode kind of thing and comparing what's talking out from there kind of a deal?
That could work. That could work, safe mode, because they would have to have a mechanism to relaunch their backdoor once you rebooted. So going into safe mode, it would stop those mechanisms from working, at least. So yeah, you could go into safe mode and see what kind of internet connections are being made and then compare that to the internet connection. But the thing is, you're also going to get a lot of other stuff that's going to happen in normal mode that's going to make internet connections that won't in safe mode. So it's still going to be pretty noisy. But it probably wouldn't hurt to go dump your router's like connection list or whatever, and then just go profile some IP addresses and see what domain names they're associated with. And, that's if you saw the crash. If you didn't see a crash, if you never opened a Word document, you never saw, crash reporting to Microsoft, and, and then you just wait for it and hit the cancel button or whatever. If you haven't seen that, then you're not, this hasn't hit you. It's very, very specific to, and if you don't use Office at all, then I guarantee you this hasn't hit you.
Cool. So then I'm safe.
Yeah. So just be aware though that this is a bad one, and Microsoft hasn't released a patch yet because the fix for it requires an architectural change, which can create a bunch of regressions with other stuff. So it's not something they can just go. It's not identified as a bug because it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's just being used in an illicit way that wasn't meant to be used that way. So yeah, it's a manipulation of Windows error reporting, but they will figure it out eventually and they'll patch it. And in the meantime, I did tweet out a website that had instructions on how to disable the specific execution that this does. You can disable it entirely through the registry. So just go look for my tweets. I think from yesterday I probably tweeted only 100,000 times yesterday. Just scroll through, do a search for Barnacules and Tech Tip, and you'll probably find it. All right, bro. Well, you ready to wrap up?
I think so.
Let's get you out of here so you can go do a little garage sale. And
cool, man.
We'll be back next week, guys. Same bad time, same bad place. We'll be on time next week because
maybe some D&D tomorrow.
Oh, and maybe some D&D tomorrow. So keep an eye on the Twitters.
We'll see how that shit goes.
Yeah, keep an eye on the Twitters because man, I got a new character and he's to run around and
you had to make a new character.
Yeah. Oh, you missed that. We did a whole stream where we did character creation. So you need to go create your character if we're playing D&D tomorrow.
I already have one. We started already.
No. You have to make his likeness. In Hero Forge, you have to 3D model it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can do that. So yeah, you got to make a 3D model. It looks like your character that you defined and rolled. Okay. And we all have one, so we just need you to create one just so I can, so that your little 3D model can run around with everybody in the game.
Cool, I will do that.
All right, thank you so much for the support, guys. We appreciate you. If you want to find us in our individual streams that we do over on Twitch by ourselves, all the links can be found in the video description. Also to Tech Banditry, which is what David Hewlett does on the side, and of course, you'll always find us on Twitter. All of us are over there, bickering and posting shit all the time. So
yeah,
follow us on Twitter if you want to know what's going on every 3 seconds in our lives. All right. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.
Okay, bye.